Shabbat shalom.
It is so good to see all of you on this chilly, almost winter evening. We'll start on page 5 with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Borchem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat shalom, friends. Welcome back. Oh, I've missed this. I've missed you all. It's really nice to be home. Yay, yay. You know, my little mommy heart is it's like the Grinch, like expanded 3 sizes that day. You know, you like it expands with lahavdil, but it expands, you know, with the first child, and then you don't think it'll grow any bigger, and then it grows and grows and grows, and it's a little tender tonight, you know, it's a little tender tonight. So just hold me, I'll hold you, we'll hold each other. It'll all be good as I send the crying, sleepy babies out the door to go home and go to bed. We'll pick up with Lechune Ranana on page 11. Lechune Ranana Adonai Nari Alitzo Yishenu Nekadma Betoda Mizmirot Naharialo Bottom of page 12. Arba'im Shana Akut Bedor Va'omar Noe Levavhem Behem Lo Yadu Drachai Asher Nishbati Ve'afi Im Yevohun El Menuchati Tiru לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים, כבודו בכל העמים, נפלאותיו כי גדול אדוני, אולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים, כי כל אלוהי העמים אלילים, ואדוני שמיים עשה, עוד והדר לפניו, עוז ותפארת במקדשו, הבו לאדוני משפחות העמים, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז, הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, שאו מנחה ובואו בחצרותיו, ישתחוו לאדוני בחדר הקודש, תהילו מפניו כל הארץ, אמרו בגויים אדוני מלך, אף תיקון תבל בתימות, ידין אמין ונשרים, ישמחו השמיים וטל הארץ, ירם הים ומלוא, יעלו שדי וכל אשר בו, אז ירננו כל עצי ההר, לפני אדוני כי בא לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ויאמין באמונתו, ילי ילי
Adonai malak tagel haaretz, yismachu im rabim. Tzedek u'mishpat on kvisot, shanan Ohave Adonai sinura, shomer nafshot chasidav, miyad reshayim yatzlihem. Or zaru ala tzadik, ul yishrelev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik, ul yishrelev simcha. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, lehodu lezecher kodsho. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, lehodu lezecher kodsho. Shir l'Adonai shir chadash, ki nifahot asa, Hoshia lo yamino, uzroa kodsho.
זכר חסדו ואמונתו לבית ישראל.
Baruch l'Eretz, Yeshua Eloheinu.
Here let the night lights beat slow round a new besame rose and
Livnei Adonai kival ishpor haaretz yishpoteh betzedek ve'amim b'mesharim Adonai malach yirkesu amim Yoshev keruvim
Adonai
tamid
b'tzion
Adonai b'tzion
gadol. Moshe Mudanan Shomron.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishtachavu l'kodsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. I invite you to rise. We're on page 21. For Psalm 29. Mizmor LaDavid, Avul Adonai, Bnei Elim, Avul Adonai, Kavod Va'oz, Avul Adonai, Kevod Shemo, Ishtachavu Adonai, B'chadrat Kodesh, Kol Adonai, Al Hamayim, El HaKavod, Hirim, Adonai, Al Mayim Rabim, Kol Adonai, B'koach, Kol Adonai, Be'adar, Kol Adonai, Shover HaRazim, Vayshamer Adonai, Et Arzei Albanon, Vayarkidehem, Kimo Egel, Lebanon, Mesirion, Kemo Verehimim, Kol Adonai, Otzer Lavodesh, Kol Adonai, Yachel Midbar, Yachel Adonai, Midbar Kadesh, Kol Adonai, Cholel Ayalot, Vayechesof, Ye'arot, U'Heichalo, Lo Merkavot, Adonai, Lama Bo Yashav, Vayeshav Adonai, Melech Leolam, Adonai Oz, Le'amo Yitain, Adonai Yevarech et Amo V'Shalom, Yalai, 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 You may be seated. We have welcomed our Shabbos angels. We have welcomed our rabbi back to our sanctuary. And now we'll welcome the Sabbath bride on page 23. Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat mekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat mekabela. Shamor zachor bediborecha ishmiyanu el meyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem tiferet ve'tila lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha ki mekor hamiracha mirosh mikedem nesucha sof
למחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נתקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נתקבלה, מקדש תלך עם מלוכה, ומקרי מתוך הבריכה, רב מחשבת בימך בחר, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נתקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נתקבלה. התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי, על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי, קורבה נפשי גאלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נתקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נתקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, אמא אורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נתקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נתקבלה, לתבשי ולא תקמי, מה ישלוח לכי ומה תהמי, בך יחסו אני אהיה עמי, ונבנתה עיר עתילה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נתקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נתקבלה, והי לשיסו שוסי, ורחקו מבלעי, יסיס עלי אלוהי, ימצוץ קטן על קלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נתקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נתקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי, על יד איש בן פרסי, ונשמחה ונגילה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נתקבלה, ולך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נתקבלה. פוי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובשולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
May be seated. We'll turn to the Psalm for Shabbat on page 27. Mizmor, mizmor, shir, shir liyom ha-Shabbat. Mizmor, mizmor, shir, shir liyom ha-Shabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, tov lehodot l'Adonai, ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב להודות לאדוני, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון. ולהגיד בבוקר, בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות. להגיד בבוקר, בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות. טוב להודות לאדוני, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב להודות לאדוני, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון. Tzadik אתה אמר יפרח, כארץ לבנון יזכה. שתו לי בבית אדוני. מכל עוד מים רבים, אדירים משברי ים, אדיר במרום אדוני. עדותיך נאמון מאוד, לביתך נאווה קודש, אדוני לאורך ימים.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So I want to share a few words of Torah, a little rusty, so I'll do my best. But I'm thinking a lot this Shabbat about listening and hearing. It's interesting with a new baby and a toddler because one child, you just are trying to distinguish what each little cry means. And does this cry mean hungry or tired or gassy or whatnot? And the other child thinks that he has all these words, but really only a small percentage of them are actually English, mostly the word no. But then sometimes the word no actually means yes, and sometimes yes means no. And so you really have to read between the lines a lot, and nothing is straightforward. And of course, this is not just true for babies and toddlers, but it's true for all human beings. I think listening is hard for all of us. And our Parsha, Chai Sarah, begins with Sarah's death and Abraham's quest to find her a burial plot in the land of the Hittites. So Abraham in this moment is bereft. He's weeping. He is mourning. But he summons the strength to rise and come to the Hittite tribe. And he explains his situation and his need, which is he needs a place to bury his beloved wife, Sarah. And he asks them to sell him a burial site. And they respond, Shema Enu, hear us. And they respond with something that sounds very, very praiseworthy of Abraham. They say, we see you as God's chosen servant, and we will offer you the best burial site we have. Which seems like, great, that's exactly what Abraham asked for, but he bows low to them in response, and he says, no, actually, I need you to take me to your leader, and something is not computing. Abraham this wasn't satisfying for Abraham. So he says, what I actually need is I need you to sell me the land. Don't give it to me. I need you to sell it to me at full price. So they take him to Ephron, the leader of the Hittites. And Ephron says the same thing back to Abraham. He says, Shma'eni, no, hear me. We want to give it to you. You don't have to pay anything. We want to give it to you. And just go and bury your dead. And of course, rather than comforting Abraham, which I think was Ephron's intention, perhaps, this response seems to inflame him even further, and his language gets even more intense. He says, Ach, im atalu shma'eni, if you would only hear me out, let me pay the price of the land. Please take my money. And the conversation continues, escalating, each side practically screaming at each other, hear me. No, hear me. And ultimately, their negotiation ends in a kind of confusing way that I still am not sure I totally understand. Because Ephron replies to him, my lord, do hear me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels, what is that between you and me? Go and bury your dead. And this seems to end the negotiation. Rabbi David Kimchi offers an interpretation of Ephron's subtext. What's he trying to say here? He says this means, what difference does such a paltry sum make? Whether you want to pay it or you don't want to pay it, go ahead, just bury your dead. I don't care. Do it how you want to do it. So Abraham pays the sum of 400 shekels. He takes ownership of Ephron's land and Ma'arat HaMachpelah, the cave of Machpelah, and he finally is able to bury his wife. And what I find most painful about this entire exchange between these two figures is that it seems to be a conversation, at first glance, it's a conversation about kind of business transaction, when really for Avraham and Ephron, it is so much more than that. Neither one of them can hear the other's deep commitments beneath the surface of the negotiation. And they're crying out desperately to be heard, but neither of them is able to bring voice to what actually matters most to them. For Abraham, he never speaks of his agonizing grief over his beloved wife, and he never talks about his desire to honor Sarah's memory by purchasing a burial plot at full price. This would give her kavod for him to be able to buy it. This is why he wants to pay the money, I think, rather than receive it as a gift. But he doesn't say this. And for Ephron, at least according to some of the rabbinic commentaries, his understanding of the terrain that the cave is located in and that his people have lived on, and his desire for Abraham to have access to the site going forward is motivating his framing of the whole exchange, saying, you need all of this land, let me just give it to you, that way you'll be able to have full access. But he doesn't say what's beneath his argument either, and so they're just left yelling at each other, screaming, hear me, hear me, hear me. This feels so familiar to me. I read an article in The Atlantic maybe about a month ago by a journalist named Gal Beckerman, who I believe is Israeli, but I'm not 100% positive. And he was reviewing a number of the books that had come out in advance of the anniversary of October 7th
most of the books he was reviewing were by Israelis, a few were by Palestinians. And he started the article, the book review, by saying that one of the most painful aspects of this past year that he has noticed is that what has been true both for Israelis and for Palestinians is that we have had to fight for the world just to see us and hear us in our humanity. We have been screaming at the world from the top of our lungs saying, hear me, see my pain. Don't you see that I am a human being worthy of basic dignity of life, that my children deserve to live, that my family deserves to live in security? Don't you see me? And the world seemed to say over and over again to Israelis, Palestinians often feel that to them as well, you don't matter. You don't matter. And it adds indignity to indignity to indignity. We sent out a message earlier today about our congregation's approach to political statements. I'm not going to, you may have read the message. Steve is actually going to talk later at the very end of services about what went into that message and our thinking behind it and why it's important for us. And we spent a lot of time putting a lot of thought into it and discussing it, and we'll continue. And also spent a lot of time, Steve especially, spent a lot of time today hearing people who, when they saw this letter come out, and forgive me if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not giving full context, but when this letter came out from the Federation yesterday, a deeply pro-Israel letter and message that was of pain to our senators saying, why don't you hear us and see us? Why don't you see that what you've done here is not helping Israel's security in any way, but is hurting the Jewish community deeply? Not seeing Or Hadash's name on that letter when so many other congregations were listed added, I think, for many people, added to a sense of pain. And so I want to say first that I'm deeply sorry for any pain that I have caused, that omission has caused for anyone here yesterday and today. And I want you to hear Shma'eni, to hear me saying this community, this congregation, or Hadash, is a deeply Zionist, pro-Israel community and will always be that way. And Steve will talk a little bit about still why we have a different approach to how we view the implication of signing on to political statements about votes in our government. So this revealed to us, as many things have revealed to us over the last year, this ongoing need to listen and to hear one another, especially in times when we may inadvertently cause each other pain, especially at times when our deepest moral commitments are on the line, especially at times when there isn't harmony, when it feels like there might not be harmony between ourselves and the communities that we're in and the other people in our communities. I've learned about myself that I'm someone, and even, just in a very literal sense, even when we're singing together, I want everything to be in sync. I want everyone to be all together at once. And even those moments of dissonance or disconnect feel hard and challenging, and all the more so, when it's not just a simple song, but when it's things, commitments, deeply held values and beliefs that we are that make up who we are. It feels good to be in sync with an entire community and to know we're heard and to hear one another. So where I just want to leave this is that I think this practice is something we have to do every single day. And it's a practice that we can engage in with our kids, with our neighbors, with our families. I feel like I say this message all the time, and probably because it's the message that I need to hear the most. But Shma'eni, Shma'enu. Hear us so that we can be heard, and may we hear one another so that all of our voices are heard. Shabbat Shalom. So we'll turn to Ma'ariv, to Baruch Hu on page 39. Please rise. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. You can be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'dvaro sweet v'namashanayte. Umavir yom u'meivi laila, umavdil ben yom u'vein laila, Adonai tzavot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravim. Avat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha avda. Torah u'mitzvot chokim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu shochveinu v'kumeinu nasiach b'chokecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu ve'orech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla yomam v'layla. Ve'avarcha tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shochvecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam lehot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam amezuzot beitecha u'v'yisharecha v'haya im shamoa ish tishma'u al mitzvotai. Adonai Moshe Limo, Daber al Bnei Yisrael. Adonai Elohechem Emet. V'yamazot v'kayam aleinu. We'll pick up on page 44. Umalchuto baratzon kiblu aleiham Moshe uMiriam uvnei Yisrael lecha anu shira v'simcha rabba v'amru chulam mi chamocha elim Adonai mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tehilot osef elem malchutecha ra'u panecha bokeh yam lifnei Moshe zehi eli anu ve'amru Adonai imlo le'olam va'ed ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני קהל ישראל השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. We'll take a moment here within Hashkivenu to offer prayer of healing for everyone who needs it. You're welcome to rise and share any names of people that you're praying for who need healing right now. Along with Sarah Miriam Bat Ahuva Vezev, Atara Bat Sarah Leah Vezev Halevi, Katya Romo, Jeff Kremer, Raphael Ben Makov Alev Yehuda, Rabbi Jeff Feinstein, Margie and Herb Simonoff, Rivka Bat Leah Masha, Devor Bat Shlomo Vesusia, Daniel Yitzchak Ben Shalom Melech Vanomi, Yaakov Ben Chana Vesimcha Halevi, Melinda Goldfeder, Meir Ben Tzipora, Aharon Ben Bracha, Eliyahu Ben Moshe Verena Bat Pesha Leah, Laura Peno Green, Henry Spill, Jennifer Parker, Charlie Whitten, and Jay Miller. Mi shepera avotenu or hachayim le'imotenu hu yevareh ve'yirapeh El Narifana
Refanala, Elna Refanala, Elna Refanala, Elna Refanalanu. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai. Apore sukat shalom aleinu, ve'akol amo Yisrael, ve'hal Yerushalayim. We'll rise on page 46 for Vishamru. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ידי ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת נפל. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, וילמד דברך חירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, וחיי כל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב, בימרו אמן. יהי שמירה במבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עמיה.
יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירה מימה, בימרו amen. Take time now for your own silent prayers, beginning with words on page 47 or the words in your own heart. We'll come back together in a few moments.
Ose shalom bimroma, Uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Amen. Ose shalom bimroma, Uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Amen. We'll pick up with Kaddish Shalem on page 54. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבי, ועמד יברח ירודה וימליך מלכותה בחייכון ובימיכון ובחיי ידכו בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו.
אמן.
יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולמי עמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה. לעילמים כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעמה ויאמרו.
אמן.
תקבץ צלות הון ובהון דרכו ישראל קודם ובהון דבשמיא ויאמרו.
אמן.
יהי שלום רב מן שמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו.
אמן.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ויאמרו. Amen. Turn to Aleinu on page 56. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויסוד ארץ. וידעת עם שמות. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו You can be seated. I'll turn to Mourner's Kaddish, and this week as we're saying Kaddish, we're remembering Sandra Copeland, the beloved mother of Mindy Binderman, Millie Ginberg, the beloved mother of Paul Ginberg, and grandmother of and mother-in-law of Sally Ginberg, and grandmother of Jonathan Ginberg, and great-grandmother of Ezra and Dove, and Jeff Saville, beloved husband of Bernice Saville, as well as the yard sites in this week of Rivka Abraham, Jerry Brown, Freda Sirata Gold, Sophie Murovitz, Jarvin Levison, Bernard W. Graboy, Stanley Sherman, Michelle Gary, and Quincy C. Cornelius. Yehi zichronam livracha, may all their memories be a blessing. We invite anyone saying Kaddish to rise and join together at page 58. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach hirute v'amlich malchute. B'chayachon uvyomechon u'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'meru amen. Yehe shmei rabba mevorach le'elam ulame amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran ba'alma v'yimaru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Useh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimaru. Amen. And the one who makes peace on high, make peace for all of us, for all Israel, for all humanity. And we say, Amen. Shabbat shalom. Before Jason ascends to the bima, I want to invite our president, Steve Wertheim, to come forward to share a few words.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
So, first of all, I want to welcome back Rabbi Lauren. It is so good to have her back. And through my interactions with her over the last 24 hours, I want to say how lucky we are to have someone who is so caring and thoughtful. And she's taken it much more personally than I have because I'm used to doing this. But her thoughtfulness and things, we're lucky to have her. So I just want to say a few words about, the letter. And I'm going to give you a little bit of how it came about, what the thought process was, where we are now, and then after having discussions with about 8 or 9 members of our community today, I think it's important. I'm going to give you a little background of this whole thing that some of you may know, but to my shock, a lot of the people that I talked to did not know. So yesterday, about in the morning, Jason got a call that there was going to be a letter from the Federation regarding this. They said it was going to be there at 2 o'clock, and we had to respond by 4 o'clock. It got there about 2:30. The original letter was grammatically not good. It was corrected, came back. So, he called me, and we had, I was not, as the president of a synagogue, even though I agreed with the content of the letter 100%, I was not going to make the decision that the synagogue was going to sign on, knowing that we have members that approved of the vote of the 2 senators, which I did not. So we decided not to respond. We didn't say we weren't going to sign it, but we didn't sign it. And we had a board meeting last night. And in discussions with Rabbi Lauren, the more I thought about this, it was my feeling, and Rabbi Lauren concurred, that we shouldn't sign on to this letter. And we discussed it at the board, and after finishing the board meeting, while the vast majority, maybe all of the board, agreed with the content of the letter, we decided that it would not be good for Or Hadash to sign it. And I'll come back to that in a second. Those of us who are politically active in the pro-Israel community, these votes were not shocks. I mean, we knew 4 weeks ago that Senator Sanders was going to bring up these resolutions. There were originally 5 resolutions which covered $20 billion of arms sales to Israel that will happen a few years from now. None of the votes, and again, the vote was totally wrong, but I want to give the background. The votes, if they would have passed, it wouldn't have affected anything other than something that was years down the road. We were able, through negotiations, there were originally 5 resolutions covering $20 billion. 2 of the resolutions, one had to do with sales of F-15 jets to Israel, which will happen in 3 or 4 years. That was not voted on. The other one had to do with some heavier bombs, and that was not voted on. So the 3 that were voted on had to do with 120 millimeter mortars, 120 millimeter artillery, and some guidance systems which covered about $1 billion of future arms sales. There were people on the phone with these senators, pro-Israel activists, literally up to the last second. And Senator Warnock did take calls. We knew Senator Ossoff was a lost cause because one of his biggest donors called him in the morning and he refused to take his call. So we knew that. And there were active negotiations and things with a lot of other senators. There were 18 senators who ultimately supported some of these, and 10 of them we knew were going to do that. There was about 15 that were on the border, and 8 of those ended up doing this. In June of this year, President Biden halted the delivery to Israel of 1,700 2,000-pound bombs, 1,500 500-pound bombs. When weapons sales happen, it's not like you approve them, they're done, they get made, and they go the next day. So these were weapons that were approved for delivery of Israel years ago and were on a track to be delivered, along with a whole bunch of other things, which there have been active efforts, bipartisan, including by 2 congressmen in Georgia, one Democrat and one Republican, who have co-sponsored these resolutions to ask President Biden to let these deliveries happen, because it's the feeling of a lot of the pro-Israel community and the military people that these weapons will allow the war to end quicker and end up with less deaths so that Israel can finish what they need to do in Lebanon and Gaza. So that has been ongoing, and there have been efforts by some of the pro-Israel community to try and get the president to reverse these decisions that he's made of halting these arms. Some of them have been delivered now, but there's still a halt. So for the people, as an aside, for the people who are offended by this vote, which I am, I would behoove you to get involved with getting the president to deliver the rest of the weapons that affect things today and the deaths in Israel today, tomorrow. Getting back to the board discussion and the decision to do this, the question is, what do we want our shul to be? And we want it to be spiritual. We want to have Jewish learning. We want to have prayer. We want to have community. If it's the decision of the shul and the members that they want to get into political discussions, we could do that. There is no shortage of political discussions, and I can assure you over the next 4 years, there will be plenty more to have, particularly when it comes to Israel. And we sign into this letter, and then maybe 6 months from now, President Trump gives Israel the approval to annex the West Bank. Some people, maybe me, maybe not, I won't say, would be very much in favor of that. I'm sure that there's others that will not. Do we want to sign on to a letter that approves that? So it opens up a whole nother category for us, in our opinion, of things that we want to bring into the shul that it would take up a lot of time and effort, and we can certainly do it, but I'm not sure that that's what we want as 1, 2, 3, or 4 of our synagogue. So the discussion isn't done. Like I said, the vast majority of our board and our congregation approved the letter, but the thought process is this the precedent that we're going to do when someone else comes and says, oh, there's a letter from the Republican Jewish Coalition that supports this. Should we sign on to that? There's a letter from J Street that supports this. There's a letter. There's no shortage of organizations that are pushing agendas that some of us agree with, some of us don't. So that's where we're at. Like I said, the discussion at the board isn't done, but there are more permutations of this than simply signing on to a letter that most of us agree with. again, I'm not going to speak for everyone in the congregation. It is offensive that our senators did that. It is, to some of us who did not support these senators, it is not a surprise, but that's kind of where we're at. So I just, I've spoken to 8 congregants today, give or take, all of whom wanted to know how we, as Melinda said, and and it's the conversations have been interesting and fascinating, and I thought I was very good at not telling people, why did you vote for this guy, but why did you support him? But I was very good, I thought, and it was interesting. And by the end of the conversation, 7 of the people agreed with our position. 1 still does not think thinks we should have signed the letter because we just should have done it. But having said that, I'm going to ask for some comments in a second. But I would encourage any of you, when the congressmen and the senators are going to vote on a controversial issue, they literally have a checklist in their office. And Melinda is the best. Every day she writes the letters or makes a phone call and stuff, and they check yes, no, yes, no. It doesn't matter what you said. You could give a 20-minute diatribe. It's a yes or a no, and they use that to help. And I can tell you that one of our senators had many more calls and letters asking him to vote for this resolution than against. I mean, and it was, he said it was 4 or 5 to 1. And like I said, communication with these 2 is very good with our pro-Israel activists. It just didn't work. Does anyone want to make any comments or questions or suggestions?
I'm curious, where does this put us as a congregation in relation to the others who signed? And is there a difference between a letter of federation, which is an overarching organization, than from particularly political?
All right, so I'll give you 2 purely editorial, personalized comments. I think it is great that the Federation stuff have gotten involved politically. They really haven't. They should have done it starting October 7th. They should have done it years ago, but they really should have started doing these things and doing advocacy October 7th. The fact that they're doing it now, I think, is wonderful, and I commend them for doing this and leading this, and I hope they continue to do that. Whether our synagogue wants to do that as a synagogue or do it as individuals is something that we have to decide. And for me, I want to come to synagogue. I want to listen to Rabbi Lauren teach me. I want to have prayer. I don't want to hear political stuff. That may not be what everybody wants, and we'll listen to the things. And I know, I don't know for every congregation. I know that for 2 of the congregations, I've talked to the people, the letter came up, this is a no-brainer, sign it, and they've gotten some feedback because there is a percentage of the Jewish population in our synagogue and every synagogue who agree with using U.S. pressure to influence Israel's policy. I mean, there's people that agree with that. I don't, and a lot of people don't, but there are people, including in our shul, who I respect and I know are pro-Israel. They're wrong in their political approach, but I respect them, and a couple of members, we're the only shul we stood out and stuff. We're not. There are a number of shuls. I mean, interestingly, there's another shul who has on his board a gentleman who I know very well, and I didn't know this till that, who works for AIPAC, which is, I mean, he's not a layperson to the APAC like I am, he works for it. And they didn't sign, again, you know, APAC is the organization that's been driving to get most no votes on this, but, you know, it opens up a whole can of worms in a synagogue if you don't want to be discussing every week, all right, let's sign this letter, let's not sign this letter, let's sign this letter. And, you know, like I said, a lot of the people I talked to said, well, you know, what about our role in the community? Well, you know, I think we have to do what's right for Or Hadash and what's right. Jennifer.
It also seems to me that for federations to come to us at 2:00, 2:30 in the afternoon and say, we need to make a decision right before whether you're signing on.
The process was horrible, but that's a.
It's not for Lauren or for Steve to make that decision. That to me is a board decision. And so I think there would have been more anger had they, I don't know if they're wrong. That's my.
Yeah, the process was flawed, and again, I applaud the Federation for doing that. The process was wrong, and I think it's good that they're doing that. But again, you know, I'm not going to speak for other synagogues. What'd you say?
You can't ask Jews to make a decision.
And you know, I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Other synagogues are getting flack from their congregations as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would guess that the synagogues that signed, some of them are getting flack from the percentage of their, and, you know, I'll just take us back because many of you were here. In the first Trump term, there was an incident where President Trump banned the entry of immigrants from Muslim countries after some terrorism and some other stuff. There was I don't know if it was the Federation, some groups in Atlanta got together and immediately said, this is horrible, we have to do against this. Our synagogue did a knee-jerk reaction, didn't consult anybody, and sent out an email saying, we have to fight President Trump, this is horrible, Or Hadash supports this rally that's happening tomorrow at, I don't know where it was. There was a group of our synagogue, a not insignificant group, who felt that he did the right thing. And we got lots of phone calls. So this was probably a no-win situation. And at the end of the day, I think we need to do what we feel is right for our congregation and not worry about anybody else. And, you know, if we did the wrong thing, myself or the board, then we need to know from the congregation, well, yes, we want you to sign this letter and we want to start getting more into the political areas. And like I said,
One doesn't deal with the other. It doesn't necessarily have to deal with the other. We have to be strategic about membership. I know you don't, I know that I agree with the political sentiment that, you know, we don't want to get political, but we have just isolated ourselves even more in the Atlanta community by not signing that letter. I mean, it was an omission. I mean, I was looking for our name and other congregants, I'm sure, as we fielded phone calls today, we're looking for our name. And so I know that this doesn't sound good because I'm saying, you know, oh, this is strategy and it's not, you know, oh, what you should be and we're spiritual and we're not political and all those things. But there's not a lot of people. And I'm really worried about that. I'm very, very worried about that. And isolating us further, even though we need to have our own brand, our own identity, is, I think, a problem.
I want to point out that, and this is something, and Jason says this a lot, like when we're looking for new members, you know, Atlanta is, I mean, you're either, you've been here forever, and if you're shul shopping, you've been unhappy somewhere else, or you've moved here, and we don't, I'm curious to know
of all the people I talked to, even the one who I talked to for a long time, who said after everything she understands, but we still should have signed the letter. She's not going to leave the shul, and I think it's important to know those were the negatives, and I've spoken to everyone except for one who sent a negative letter or a phone call or something. There are obviously others that didn't, but we've gotten, I don't know how many emails and calls and stuff. Thank you. This was the right thing to do. So,
And I'll just say, just as a vignette, one family wrote to me and said, while they agreed with the Sanders resolution, they even more agree with the Or Hadash position of not signing on to political statements. And they were really glad that Or Hadash is a shul that values community over particular political positions.
your point is, everything we're focusing on is membership and maintaining and doing it. So, your point is well taken, but we would, I don't know. I don't know if it's more. You what?
Time will tell. And I'm privy to the sort of rabbinic conversations about the letter. And my guess is that the immediate response of our colleagues to say, absolutely, we'll sign on, is going to alienate some of their members. I know that for a fact. So for those of us who feel like we shouldn't be embroiled or involved in political statements, keeping a synagogue, our synagogue, a spiritually and sacredly safe place for everybody might mean we don't sign on to political statements.
And we discussed that at length. That was in our thought process. That was not, I'm not going to tell you this is 100% altruistic, whatever. We discussed. Well, we didn't have time, and we've gotten, the feedback over the last 24 hours, but one of the things that one of the people said, which I'm all in favor of, is to have like a town hall. We haven't even talked about it, having a meeting next week to discuss the letter. To discuss,
Zionism, political standpoint, how would be a Zionistic congregation without being political?
It's very, very hard, yeah. Yeah.
It's a balancing act.
Yeah, yeah.
In that context.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you're not gonna say, oh, hey, something happens, God forbid, like October 7th, we're gonna sign on to something, and that's to a certain
Right.
extent, would be a political statement versus this, something else. So
and what.
balancing act of Zionism,
And one of the things that's a universal thing, including for me, is you'd love your rabbi to speak out and talk about issues, particularly the ones that are important to you, as long as she agrees with you. If she, if she gives the other opinion. Melinda and I always joke, we talk about our kids and why didn't they do that? I told them to do this and that. I said, you raised them to be independent thinkers, and we say, but we want them to think like us.
just a little dose of something there. It's impossible to produce without people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just implicit in your genes. They will have you born.
But so maybe we'll have a town hall to discuss this, and maybe the majority of the shuls say, if you talk about politics every week and Israel stuff and this, everybody will join and we'll come every week. I'd go somewhere else, but what's that? Yeah, I mean, the list is on the list is on the letter. I mean, I don't know if Chabad of Georgia means every Chabad. I'm assuming that does. So Chabads, there's 19 of them, so I don't know if that counts.
yeah.
But there's, I don't know, 2/3 of the shuls probably signed. I mean, other entities didn't sign, Camp Ramah didn't sign, the Epstein School didn't sign. I mean, I mean, one of the other things that someone suggested is, can we circulate a letter saying, we, the members of the Or Hadash community, as individuals, support the thing. So then we as individuals who happen to be members of Or Hadash support this resolution, as opposed to this. I wouldn't lead that, but
I would just like to say though, for me, coming here is a breath of fresh air because when I am out in the general community, having a daughter currently in Israel, it's like a minefield. And I will tell you, the place where it is the most hurtful to be is among fellow Jews because they are the coolest.
I,
When it comes to me and my family's support for Israel. I actually get more support from my Christian friends, from my hairdresser, than I do from a lot of my fellow Jews. But this community is supportive. But in this community, when I talk to people about what's going on with the war, we don't all agree, and that's okay. We are all Zionists, but whether you know it or not, because whether or not people are willing to tell you that they disagree with you, not everybody here agrees that we should be sending arms to Israel. And so I don't want to lose this community. I don't want to lose this very, very Zionist, pro-Israel group, where it's okay that we don't all agree with what the government is doing day to day, but we all agree that Israel is a very, very important place. And so, just as we think about how to move forward,
thank you, Jennifer. If any of you don't want to speak in public and want to discuss this with Rabbi Lauren,
Please.
call us, because it's an important issue. And like I said, we understand, and there's a lot of people that are mad, a lot of people that are happy we did it this way, probably 40% that could care less one way or the other. I mean, it's always, you hear from the peripheries, and that's fine, but we want to do the right thing, and we want to, we're Zionistic, we're pro-Israel. Where do we fit in on the, like I said, every week we could do a letter and discuss a letter on various political topics. I could give you speakers till the end of time to speak on politics and
Thank
the interests.
Yeah,
Shabbat.
thank you. Yeah, you're gonna do, yeah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Maybe we should.
I have about 30 minutes of announcements. They don't seem to be up here. Did Rabbi Lauren, did you grab the?
Oh, yeah, I stole all your papers.
What a rookie move.
Oh, there, that's that.
Keep coming back. All right, it's good to see everybody. We are on time. So I'm glad everybody hung in for this, and for the people that are at home, and we had a good number of people tune in this evening. Thank you guys for sticking with us through this. Some upcoming events, in addition to services, which are tomorrow at 9:15, we have our congregational Israel trip information session that's coming up on December 5th. That'll be taking place here at 7 p.m. We sent out a little information. We are partnering with another congregation on a trip together. If you were interested in learning more about the trip and the person who's facilitating it, come to that session. We will not be Zooming this session. It'll be in person. However, I can capture information and provide it along to you. If you're interested and not able to attend, I can also provide things about the program. On December 6th, we are having Welcome Back Shabbat for Rabbi Lauren's return. I guess we're calling that her official return now, 2 weeks later.
She's warmed up and gotten back into the routine.
Right,
Yeah, I
like-
need a few weeks.
Like
to
remembering to
get my
leave
sea
the
legs.
notes up here. Yeah. And so come and join us for dinner. I think Gail's put together the whole dinner. So Gail, thank you for your efforts. If you don't like the menu, thank you, Gail. Our winter clothing drive is ongoing. We keep getting bags and bags and bags and bags, which is fantastic. We're continuing to collect them, but there's two things that have been added to it. One, we're collecting Hanukkah notes for Israeli soldiers. So if you have an opportunity to take some notes, or if you have kids or you have grandkids and you like them to write some letters, Jody will be shipping them off and having them arrive in time for Hanukkah to Israel. And I suppose any she doesn't bring will be going over there with Jen and I. So we're collecting those letters, and then we're going to need some volunteers on the morning of, I believe, December 8th, which is that Sunday, to help us sort all the clothes. They're kind of picky. They just don't like bags. So anybody that's able to help us out that morning, come to Minion, hang out for food, nosh, whatever, and help us sort. That would be great. We have 3 Israel programs coming up: Politics, History of Israel, From Jewish Peoplehood to Israel's Next 25 Years. Ken Stein and CIE are hosting it here. We'll be having them on December 2nd, December 11th, and December 16th, 3-part series. You can sign up on the website. Our Family Hanukkah Fest is December 15th. And finally, last update about our Minions, Sunday Minion at 9 a.m. and Tuesday at 7 a.m. And after Tuesday's Minion, Nosh and Drosh, we're resuming our discussion about Judaism is About Love by Rabbi Shai Held. Except for next week, we'll be resuming on December 3rd. Okay, thank you. And I want to thank everybody who helped support and participate in the program we had with the Kibbutz Nir Oz last week. We had a tremendous turnout and participation from our community. Thank you all for doing that, and the program that we had 2 weeks before with the IAC, where we had one of the photographers who went inside the Gaza envelope during the attack itself. So thanks for everyone who participated and helped make those things happen. With that, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. So let's rise and make Kiddush, and then we're going to end with Hatikva. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshenu b'mitzvotav v'rata banu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom techila lemikrahei kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim. All right, so please join me. Kolot balevav benima, nefesh Yehudi homia, ulfate mizrach kadima, ayin letzion Sophia. Od lo avda tikvateinu, hatikva bat shnot alpayim, liotam chofshi be'artzenu, Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Liotam chofshi be'artzenu, Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Continue to hope and pray for a better future in Israel, the whole world. Amen. Shabbat shalom.